The Frenchmen return for our opening matchup, and after topping the group of death, their next test will be in the familiar faces of NIP here at DreamHack Open 4. Of course, there's a lot on the line for both of these teams, and all 12 of the remaining teams here at Open 4. So let's give ourselves a quick reminder of exactly what is on the line for all of our teams. Of course, this tournament feeds into 3 other tournaments. So, of course, we'll be starting off with the EU RMR. That's Regional Major Rankings for those of you that aren't familiar, which, of course, replaces the minor system into the Rio Major. Instead, with points collected from RMR tournaments. Of course, this is an EU RMR, so just EU teams featured here, and the number of points will be increasing as we get closer to the big stage at the major, as this ranking system is designed to be the most up-to-date in terms of the team's current form. Of course, this will be split into 3 categories: legends, challengers, and contenders, which is how the teams will be split up in terms of the competition once the major rolls around. And of course, we can see the current standings from the previous RMR tournaments: Vitality topping it there, G2 in second, Godsent in third, which of course that will be shifting up once we have completed the action here at DreamHack Open 4. Of course, then we've got our road to Katowice. This is where teams will earn points at this event as part of the EPC. DreamHack Open 4 will provide 100% points value for the next EPC Masters Championship in Katowice, and then 50% of the value for the next championship in Cologne in 2021. Of course, we can see exactly how the teams are standing right now. Astralis at the top there, followed by Heroic and then Vitality in third. And of course, this will be switching up again as we get closer to Katowice and as this tournament wraps up. Finally, last and by no means least, of course, is the IEM Global Challenge, alongside taking the lion's share of the prize money here at DreamHack Open 4. The winner of this tournament will also qualify for a spot at the Global Challenge at the end of the year. So a huge amount on the line for all 16 teams in attendance. And I think I need some big guns rolling in the form of our analysts to be breaking down this one. With so much on the line and so many spectacular teams, of course, I've got to get Maniac and Blair to join me for this one. Gentlemen, pleasure to have you back here joining me up here on the virtual desk. Blair, we had some incredible games rounding out yesterday, and today is promising to deliver even more.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the final upper bracket game, like for the opening round, right? Vitality Nip, something I personally have been looking forward to for quite a while, and we keep mentioning how many times they've faced off so far this year. This is going to be the 12th time they're playing, which is ridiculous if you look at it, especially in this online era. You rarely see two teams, like 2 top-tier teams really playing that often. So it's a game I'm definitely going to be looking forward to.
Yeah, it is indeed. And of course, we can take a little bit of a recap of our bracket, just in case you guys at home have missed out on any of the action so far. I hope you haven't, because all these games really have been delivering. Of course, we can have a look at our other upper bracket opening matchups. Astralis versus Godsent. Of course, Astralis winning 2-0 over that to take them to face the Swedes of Fnatic, who of course won 2-0 over their opposition in North. Yesterday, this is the game that we were talking about to round out the day. Maniac, of course, it was Big versus G2. Unfortunately, you know what? We weren't right in our G2 picks, but it was a war of attrition. You know, you see that with that 2-1 scoreline, and unfortunately, G2 falling down to face OG. We're looking at this lower bracket competition, and it's still completely stacked.
Yeah, it truly is. And you have obviously a G2 versus OG that's going to be a banger, but North versus Heroic, again, a domestic rivalry, a domestic game, always delivers. And then if I'm not mistaken, the loser of Vitality Nip will play on to FaZe. So that as well. I mean, I'm just looking at these lower brackets opening round and I'm thinking that's not a lower bracket. Like, that's a high stacked tournament that I do not want to play in. And this is how they have to survive in the tournament. That is pretty stacked.
Yeah, it's an absolute gauntlet indeed. And I think with that, we can begin to focus on our first matchup of today. Of course, as you were saying there, Maniac, the wonderful Vitality taking on NIP. For the 12th time this year, you were talking about it in the pre-game segment. This is going to be absolutely stacked in terms of the map veto. So let's see how this is going to be playing out.
Just so to set the scene for the viewers at home, as Blaze said, they've played 26 maps in 2020. They have played all 6 maps but Train. And all of these 6 maps they've played between 4 and 5 times. This is a romantic love story that's happening between Vitality and IP. They know each other so well. When they wake up, they know how each other's like the coffee, they know the toast, they know how they have to make the breakfast, they know everything about it. So the veto actually doesn't really matter anymore. They've played so many maps. I would still favor Vitality no matter what happens, but I don't know if you have any predictions for the pick play.
I feel like for Nip, the rough thing here, yeah, the Dust 2 ban is something I kind of expected out, Train getting banned here. Unfortunately for Nip, the only 2 maps where I'm going to be very confident for them. Train and Mirage. Train's going to be banned out by Vitality by default, so I'm expecting Mirage pick coming in for Nip. There you have it. And Vitality, they can go for anything they want. They've gone for Nuke. I'm expecting Vertigo to be banned out by Nip and then Inferno to be banned out by Vitality, leaving Overpass as a decider, which I feel is a map both teams are going to be pretty comfortable with. Yeah, but it's one of them. I like the fact that they've gone for a more standard map pick phase. You're not trying anything crazy like that G2 big game we saw yesterday. Because remember, you lose this game, you're facing off against FaZe, who are in the lower brackets. They are a very deadly team, so you want to play to your strengths right now.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy run by any stretch here at Openfall. Of course, we can begin by focusing in on Mirage as our first pick here in the series, of course, coming out from the side of NIP. This is going to be an interesting one, Maniac, not least because we saw Vitality, namely ZywOo, having so much success on this map last time they played Fnatic. ZywOo got 39 kills on this exact map.
Yeah, that was quite the performance, right? So now if we focus about NIP and if we talk about win conditions, I've been watching some of their games on Mirage and I can give the viewers a few pointers. First of all, they have to keep their eyes open for Hampus on the A side, CT side specifically. He's going to be very aggressive. He's going to take a lot of space. He'll be pushing in the A apps, pushing down ramp, taking a lot of map control. You also have the double AWP setup between Nok and Twist. That will be a very strong weapon for the Swedes. And what's pretty funny is that they switch around the positions. Sometimes Twist CT spawn and Nok could be middle or B. Sometimes Twist is B. So in matters of prediction and how to prepare for the game, it's going to be hard for Vitality. So these would be my pointers for NIP.
Well, of course, keeping with the theme of Vitality here, the lovely Frankie had a chance to catch up with Apex ahead of this one, so let's take a look.
So let's talk about the fact that you are #1 in the points on the RMR standings, and now you're looking in a pretty healthy spot to remain there. Does the fact that this is an RMR event add any pressure for you?
Well, not really. We're just playing as the other events. I mean, obviously we're first, but we want this legend spot so bad. So yeah, we're just trying to play as good as possible, to go as far as possible in this tournament. That's the most important, I guess.
Thank you so much for talking to me, and good luck in the playoffs.
Thank you, bye.
As Frankie mentioned, they're currently topping the RMR rankings here at Openfall, and of course topping their group as well, Blair. So things have been going from strength to strength for Vitality.
Yeah, they've been topping everything. That was a very rough group to have as well. There was Group A coming out of that, just without dropping a single series. They're also topping the stats. I'm just taking a look at the overall tournament stats we have for Vitality. They have the highest round win percentage in the tournament. They have the highest multi-kills per round for the players. They also have the highest 5v4% conversion. That means, when you're a man up, when you get the opening duel, they win 80% of their rounds. That is some very impressive stats. And even the pistol rounds, right? Like, it's something which doesn't really have the impact as it used to once upon a time with the current economy and whatnot. But they have the best pistol round win rate as well, 70%. Masuda has been phenomenal. So yeah, it's not just in the groups or the
Did I lose Blair or did you lose me?
Oh, I have lost Blair.
Oh, I think it's just you and I now. For a second, I thought maybe that's my internet that just went down. So I'm not going to step into that. I'm going to let them do the segment. But actually, no, I think it's just you and me now, Freya.
Well, you know what? Let's continue talking about the side of Vitality, Maniac. I think we have to mention, as much as it sounds like a broken record, ZywOo really stepping up yet again. We're always focusing in on him, but there is a good reason for that, Maniac.
Yeah, listen, I always say about ZywOo that he gets the same unfair treatment as Simpledos, which is basically we human beings are getting used to extraordinary performances and we don't consider them as crazy as they should be. So when ZywOo doesn't get 45 kills, we don't even bat an eye. That is a mistake. I'm here to establish the truth. ZywOo is playing like a madman, currently topping the charts of the event, 1.51 rating, 1.51 going into this game.
It's insane to be witnessing, and there have been so many beautiful moments from him. And considering they've only played against 2 teams here at the tournament because they managed to top their group. I believe we've got Blair back joining us. Is you all good, Blair?
It's good to be back. I don't know if you guys can hear me anymore.
There we go.
Boom,
Sorry to cut you off within your wonderful stats as well. But I think we also have to be looking on over to the side of Shox as well. Because I know, Maniac, we spoke to him rather in one of the post-game interviews after their win against Fnatic. And he was saying he's just been feeling really, really comfortable. The team have been working around him. And the results have been showing for him.
Yeah, well, you know what? I have to take some salt on that because I was also vamping Shox a lot after the first game, and I'm looking at this series versus Fnatic one, the one where ZywOo completely popped off and had 79 kills. To these 79 kills, Shox had 27. 27 kills in 3 maps. That was a very, very quiet series for Richard. But again, it doesn't matter. They won. That's the key to me. If the team is winning, that is okay. But if they need him today, he needs to step up.
Well, speaking of the team that they will be facing, it's of course going to be NIP, and Frankie had a chance to check in with Rez ahead of this one.
Rez, thank you so much for joining me. Can you tell me about your own personal journey since the changes happened in NIP and this current lineup was formed? Because it feels like you're having more and more impact in your personal game.
Yeah, I feel like I am where I want to be right now. It's been a little up and down before because we have switched a lot of roles and positions, and it finally feels like I am where I want to be. So that's why I think I'm managed to put up numbers these days, and I feel like I'm back in my old form, like I was in the first years in NIP. Like I was so comfortable and I had a lot of confidence, and I feel like I'm coming back to that.
I love having confident Rez back. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you.
That's an interesting point to be bouncing back on from Rez, because Maniac, we were talking about it in the pre-show segment. You know, we've seen Rez's role being evolving and changing over the years, obviously being with NIP from 2017, playing with some of those old guards. So it's been interesting to see how he's grown and developed as a player.
Yeah, he really has, and that's a new challenge for him. That's a new position, new role, new responsibilities, and I feel like he's been doing all right, considering how much he had to shift around, where he was playing, how he was playing, what was waiting from him. He's still up there, has above 1 rating during the tournament. That is pretty decent, but the man that Blem mentioned, we have to go at it again, Nog. He is the diamond in the rough in the NIP lineup, currently 3rd highest rated player in the event, 1.23, with the AWP absolutely deadly. That's why I try to be careful when I consider NIP's result past 3 months, because then that stretch with Threat instead of Nog, I feel like it kind of tarnishes everything in terms of numbers. So this NIP lineup, I think, is better than what the numbers might suggest.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. You know, Blair, as you were saying, Nork obviously taking some leave earlier this year, coming back into the lineup for this tournament. Are you are you impressed with what you've been seeing from Nork so far, and what have we been seeing in terms of his impact?
Oh yeah, it's great to see him perform. I'm gonna have to disagree a little bit with Maniac here, which usually rarely happens because we agree all the time. Oh no, I pissed him off. But you know what? I have to state the fact. Threat only played 2 best-of-3 series for NIP recently. Right? When I say recently, it's like the past 3 months. So the stats, yes, it has been a little skewed with Threat playing. They did lose a couple of games, which are pretty close games considering they played, I think, against FaZe, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, I gotta say, the results have been a little disappointing for this team. They've been together for a while right now. Yes, Nog, took a seat back for a bit, but overall, the results haven't been that promising. That being said, so far, at least, they were given an easier group. They lost to Sprout. Again, nothing against Sprout, but NIP, our team, which were built up to be kind of like trying to regain that old glory which that name possesses, right? And to be honest, they haven't really done that yet so far.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting when we're talking about NIP's run here at the moment. They didn't start off very easily, obviously taking that loss against Sprout, managed to regain their form as they won against them 2-1. But an interesting point that you were bringing up, Blair, just before we came on air, is that the map pool of NIP doesn't really stack up against Vitality. Obviously, we're seeing them picking out Mirage, but again, Vitality have shown form on Mirage. So where are the key focuses for you coming into this match?
It has to be Mirage. I mean, that's the one map where I feel the NIP can take the win, right? But then again, like you said, it's a map that Vital are very comfortable on. Honestly, whichever map it was going to land on, we have Nuke, Mirage, and Overpass. I feel like this is probably the best potential map pool NIP would have been looking for, right? Mirage is a map they do like to play. I would favor them slightly over Vitality. Nuke, I don't know. They do play, but Vitality are clearly the better team on that map. And Overpass, even, they're okay on these maps, right? They can play these maps. And I think that's the best we can say for the side of NIP. Individually, I feel like they need to step up overall. You just can't let Nog be the hard carry for this team. And you look at these names, you look at Plopsky, look at Twist, Rez, they can do that. They can step it up. So I feel it's going to be 2 things. All the players step up, and on the other side, you hope Zywoo has kind of an average game. You know what I mean? And his average game is still an MVP performance, but he doesn't go God mode. That would be the win condition for these guys.
Yeah, and I think that's a tricky thing when we're talking about Vitality as a team, because as you were saying, Maniac, so much is going on Zywoo, and the fact that he managed to rake in 39 kills against Fnatic on Mirage, man, I think he's going to be feeling it. But with that, let's get into our predictions for this best-of-3 matchup. I'm going to start with you, Maniac. Where are you siding?
Well, I will bounce right back on Bliss point. I'll stick with Vitality, and the reason for that is that I've seen NIP struggle against good AWPs. They had struggles versus Snatchy in Sprout, and I mean no disrespect to the guy, he's a beast, but now they're going up against Zywoo. You have problems with an AWP, you go against Zywoo. Problem versus AVP, ZywOo. AVP, ZywOo. See where I'm going with this? That is going to be a struggle town for NIP, so I'll go with Vitality.
You're going to be echoing those same thoughts, Blair?
Yeah, I mean, you guys went with your heart yesterday, going with G2. This time around, I'm going to go with, I'm going to, as usual, go to my brains. But this time, it is going to be Vitality, right? In any aspect you look at, they are the better team over here. And I think it's going to require a massive amount of performance from them as an entire unit for them to fall to NIP. So yeah, has to be the Frenchman.
I think it is going to be the Frenchman across the board. I'm also going to be siding with Vitality for this one. But you know what? I'm excited to see what NIP will be bringing to the table in this matchup. And of course, also excited to check in with our Twitch chat prediction poll as well. Seeing where the fans are siding on this one. Let's take a look. Let's see if they agree with us. 50-50, split straight down the middle. So an interesting, you know what? And that's okay, Maniac. We're okay with that.
Of course, listen, we live in a place where people are entitled to have their opinion. I respect that. I cannot force people to be right, so I have to accept that.
Well, of course, speaking of you guys in the chat getting involved, we're also live with our sports buff polls, predictions, and quizzes. So make sure you're signed up for those ones. You can earn points, you can win prizes, and all you have to do is connect your account to the leaderboard for a chance to win some course goodies. But with that, I think it is time to be kicking off our first best of 3 series of the day. And what a banger it is to be starting off the proceedings with. We're getting ready for our upper bracket competition to find out who will be facing big and who will be falling to FaZe. It's Vitality versus NIP after this.
Welcome back to DreamHack Open 4. My name's Dinko, joined by Hawker for this last opening match in the playoffs. It's NIP taking on Vitality. This is going to be a very difficult task for NIP. We head into Mirage to start things off. It is going to be the map pick of the Ninjas, but it's never going to be easy, especially since the last time around, ZywOo dropped 39 here on this map.
That is a scary sign when you're heading into your own map pick, and that's what you're having to deal with. You're going to have to try and see if you can go up against that man ZywOo, who's even picked up the kit for the pistol round, Dinko. He's even a team player. He's bought the kit, he's bought the flashes, he's got the utility here ahead of the first round.
This is definitely going to be a difficult task for the Ninjas. And you've got Twist on the smoke of the flash, buying res already through underpass, looking up towards window for that initial fight.
ZywOo playing safe for now. Still early on the clock. Shox playing on the A site. A smoke obscuring his vision, but Apex is the first man to fight. And oh my goodness, Hampus has already got 2 kills with that P250, and they're just storming this B bomb site.
Well, Hampus going through, P250 in hand, under a minute left in play, and a 2-man advantage already here for NIP as Team Vitality look to try and reclaim the site. Hampus will start to move forward. There's a little bit of damage. He's already picked up 2 into this round. Finally, Vitality biting back, getting the kill back through for the side, but it's still NIP to hold the advantage and not trying to dance around the site, trying to get something done, but Vitality overrunning him. Plopsky and Twist, another last remaining player, and somehow Vitality pulled this one back, but it's NIP that sealed the 1v1. Twist getting the Ninjas the first round on the board.
That'll do for them. Getting that first round early. Hampus had to get these first 2 kills. There was that initial kill, and the second shot was nice as well. Up close with the P250, but Twist coming through with some impact. I think he's been filling his role pretty well in this tournament, Dinko. He's never going to be top of the board. He's never going to be this main man, the star player for this NIP squad. But he's been having quite a few of those really impactful multi-kills at just the right time. And for NIP to get that first pistol round on the board, that's definitely a good feeling for them on their map pick. Now they've got to make sure they can follow through onto their second.
Yeah, they need to get off to a good start in this series. We know that no matter where they were going to go with this Veto, Vitality were going to be comfortable. NIP right now have a very weak map pool. Mirage hasn't even looked that fantastic for them. They dropped this to Sprout in the opening matchup. Luckily, they step up with a better performance the second time around. They get the win under their belt, but it hasn't been the cleanest of showings for NIP so far in this tournament. They climbed through the weakest group, still taking the loss to Sprout in the group stages, and now heading into the playoffs, they've got Vitality, the first team in front of them, but they've got off to a good start. Apex towards CT spawn, peeking with the scout down in towards Connector, and 3 players here for the T side, starting to swing on by, but Zywoo around the corner doesn't get a single kill. NIP finding every frag right now. Luckily, 1 comes through from Shox, but NIP should be picking this round up, but a second kill from Shox in the SMG.
Oh, it's only Shox left, though. Bomb already down on the A site. Got to say, a little surprising that Zywoo doesn't get that kill there, Dinko. You'd normally expect him to find that one, but not meant to be. And NIP, having stormed that A site, should be okay. So a 2-0 lead for them. Pretty comfortable round win in this second one as well, just winning those initial fights onto the A site. It should now be Vitality having some money issues. At least Shox has made some money thanks to these MP9 kills. At least he's going to get to save that. The NIP will be fine on their side of things.
NIP, of course, is trying to limit the casualties. They do lose 2 players to Shox, but nonetheless, NIP will win the round. And now we head into the next one. Team Vitality still with barely any cash in that bank to play with. Shox mixed a little bit here for this MP9, of course, rattling off a couple of kills, but for the most part, we should be looking down the barrel of a 3rd round for NIP, and they've got that good start they've been looking for. It's Twist showing up this time as well, 4-0. A little bit of a worrying sign. I know it's still very, very early into this, but a worrying sign for the tournament overall is that Plopsky has been a very quiet performer. He hasn't really been up there with the rest of the team. Nok has been the shining light for NIP, of course, but Plopsky, I want to see more output from him, and he hasn't really been able to deliver at all here for the Ninjas. So against Vitality, they're going to need every individual showing up. They're going to have to put their best face into the server. Oh, Rez holding on. A second kill for him, a 3rd as well. Rez just getting this round over and done with. And there it is. 5 kills, the ace to start things off in round number 3. NIP pick it up. And we go into the next one with Team Vitality pulling out the weapons. Finally, they've got the M4s in place. Zywoo can afford the AWP. This is where things get a little bit messy for NIP. This is their first real test on the server so far.
Yeah, Nork's going to get one on the NIP side as well. So 2 AWPs in play, and Zywoo likes to be very active, very dynamic with this CT AWP on Mirage. He likes to switch up his position constantly, try to make himself hard to avoid. Right now, he's going to be focusing on mid at the start of the round, but he's already moving back towards jungle. And NIP using some early nades. Good to get that mid control. Just a couple of smokes needed, a couple of flashes to pop them into this position, and Vitality are happy to play it safe.
Vitality very safe right now. 3 players starting on the B-bomb side. Find a little bit of presence being shown from Shox towards short. He'll throw the Molotov. That will force Hampus a little closer to Connector. But right now, NIP taking their time. Plopsky with a MAC-10. Deploy towards underpass. Smoke up to the window. Mid control established for NIP. And top con smoke coming through as well. Team Vitality definitely playing this one with a passive approach. They've got Apex playing towards jungle. On the side itself, it's RPK. And now NIP sending 3 players through Connector. 2 gathering outside of the ramp. It's going to be an A split with 40 seconds left in this clock. Look at the defense. It's only RPK inside of the site right now. They're pulling 1 extra player over through spawn, and that's going to be shot now right into the site just in the nick of time. RPK trying to hold on. He'll look towards the top of the stairs, but the flank from Apex. Oh, it's huge. 2 kills collected, and he's pulled this round right back. All of Rez's hard work is completely undone, and Zywoo securing it as well. What a round from Apex.
Wow, Apex arriving to the site and making all the difference in that one. And that's partly because of the push that Vitality had through B. That's what gets Apex here so quickly, and Nip clearly weren't prepared for that. First 2 kills on players that weren't even looking at him, and then he cleans up the final 2 as well. Closes out the round. Vitality get their first round on the board early, and it's off the back of Apex.
Yeah, Apex really intelligent plays, gets the timing right of when NIP are sending those plays through connector. Gets the flank on just at the right time. And Rez, I have to say, does a really good job of taking those 2 opening kills. Eliminates Vitality on the defense, but just not really accounting for the flank of Apex, who comes in and sweeps them up, and he's involved in an early duel in this round. No one coming out dead, but Nok has been dropped down to 33. And Shox needs to be careful up in the ladder room. And Cywood opens up the round. Shox swinging, gets the timing right, and Nok was looking away. That's a huge start for Vitality. And around the NIP, we'll have to do a lot of work in just to come back and look competitive. And Plopsky, that's the first step in the right direction.
And Shooter caught out on the B side, as is Shox. Plopsky with 2 entries onto B, but Apex closing the distance. Denies the bomb plant, makes it a second kill. Good start to the game for Apex. Good impact in both of these early gun rounds. I've got to say, though, in that last Mirage game that Vitality played, there were a few rounds where Masuta was getting caught out as that B-site anchor, and that was another one that came close because he went down so early. They got onto the site, but thankfully Apex again arrives at the right place at the right time.
Team Vitality, I mean, that round was looking like it should have been cleaner. It was going to be a good round for them, just cleaning it up, limiting the casualties, securing the round very cleanly, but they'll not be worried about that at all. NIP are down to a full eco. It is just going to be Glocks across the board for the team. 1 P250 actually pulled out for Twist. But other than that, absolutely nothing to talk about right now for NIP. This should be around for Vitality, who once again playing a very passive setup. You've got Apex just on the A site this time, looking down connector. They've given mid-control again to NIP to play with. These pistols will just take what they can, getting the boost up into the window. But running down into this A-bomb site is going to be nearly impossible. You've got 3 players here for Vitality. Shox is cutting off the connector attack as well, so this round is done. Team Vitality have set up perfectly to win this one. And we all look into the next round to see if NIP can compete in the early gun rounds. We have to see them start to put up some numbers. They're going to get into the B bomb side. That's 1 kill on Masuda, yet again caught out. Now Shox is under pressure from 2 different angles, but he handles it well, cleanly, runs out of ammo, twists in this P250 onto a second kill, and now he has an M4A4 to play with. Bomb is not in his possession, but all the damage he can do here is huge, especially with the money not really being there for Vitality. Now it's looking much better.
Yeah, they'll be happy with a couple of kills there on the Nip side. They have basically nothing to work with in that round, so 2 kills is a win for them, honestly. We get a pause ahead of this next one. AK's already out on the NIP side. They won't be able to get the AWP out for Nork in this one. We were talking about Nork in the pre-game. Here we go. There's a stat for you right there. Nork currently having a great tournament, one of his best in terms of ratings. He was dominating over in Group D rather. Just very consistent from him, but he's had a bit of a slower start to this one. And unfortunately for him, he won't be getting his AWP out in this next round, just the AK for him.
Yeah, clearly that brick doing a lot of good work for Nok, coming back to the server immediately. There was questions whether or not his individual form would be up there, as there was always questions when a player takes a break from competitive matches. Will they be match fit? Will they be coming in swinging, or will it take some time for them to get back into the swing of things? Luckily, I think Nok had a pretty good warm-up group. I think Group D was clearly the weakest group across the board. And Nok looked good. He did his job perfectly, and actually was the shining light for NIP. So Nok, all the questions answered immediately on his individual form, but this is the true test for him. Will he be showing up against Team Vitality? A pause here on the server. Tech pause at that, and you're just waiting for the things to resume so NIP can get into this gun round. You take a look at what they'll be able to bring to this round. It's enough. They've got the AK-47s. Like you said, the lack of AWP is certainly going to be a problem, especially if you know NIP sometimes struggle against AWPers. If you don't have an AWP to compete against IWU or get an AWP that can go head-to-head across the board, that's something that might come back to bite NIP. But we'll see what their approach is into this round.
Yeah, I think there's a cool concept in basketball, which is to do with gravity. So if you've got a really good three-point shooter, the defenders kind of get drawn to him, right? You have to go out and defend him really far away from the hoop, and it helps you get easier layups. ZywOo's like the opposite of that, man. Instead of gravity, he doesn't suck you in, he pushes you away. Because if you know ZywOo's on a bomb site, you're probably not going to be pushing it with how good you know he can be. And that's why he's been switching up his position so often on this CT side. And now we've even got the double AWP setup in play. Shox whipping out that secondary sniper ahead of this 7th round.
ZywOo towards short Apex in the window. Got Plopsky, who has been tasked in these gun round defaults from NIP to go to the underpass to try and take those window fights. But Apex has been highly mobile in this position. He's been all over the place, getting the flank guard towards connector at times, rotating over and playing jungle, looking down into the connector entrance. He has been all over the map for Team Vitality. And right now, NIP desperately need a gun round. They've got one player up into the window. Apex moving off has actually allowed this to happen. Hampus has had a window of opportunity to take this kill, and Apex has no idea. He's not ready for this. Hampus with the opening kill for NIP, and that is just a bad timing from Apex. He leaves the window position and isn't ready for the push from Hampus.
ZywOo this time playing in the B app. He misses the first shot and Masuta gets traded out. Now ZywOo has to warp up close, but he's already landed the first shot and he's made it a second. ZywOo anchoring this B bomb site successfully. Hampus was trying to get this flank going, trying to see if he could come in from behind, and he might be able to do so. Now ZywOo has to be in trouble here. He's got two different angles to deal with, and indeed ZywOo will go down. It's up to Shox in the 1v2, arriving with that AWP. He hasn't got to use it just yet. He might not get a chance to use it, Dinko. He's already repositioning.
Yeah, he's falling back here with the AWP. Trying to get us into the next round. NIP will win the gun round, and I have to say, a fantastic start from Hampus getting up into the window, but the rest of the round was played out pretty well from NIP as well. I'll be happy about this. They do lose 3 players, but it's all about getting the win on the board for NIP early, showing that they will be able to compete on their map pick, not letting Vitality get that momentum and get the confidence up against NIP early onto the server. And I'm glad that NIP are showing up. We've seen a very quiet performance from them in their opening match on Mirage. We've seen Hampus get 5 kills. I think he got 5 and 23 across the board. So obviously that's not a scoreline he'll ever want to replicate ever again. And luckily did step up in the next performance from them. So NIP, as expected, you know, in terms of adding another player back into the team after a break, you expect them to slowly get better and better and rise to the form that we know they're capable of. And NIP have been getting better throughout this tournament. This is just the most difficult task they've got yet. So really get to see where they're at the moment.
Yeah, it's a good thermometer, right? It's a good temperature reading for NIP this game, I think, because we got to see that they were playing pretty well, but we only have a rough idea as to what sort of NIP we're getting to see at this tournament. Gotta say, again, ZywOo having to go over to B in this round, we saw that pretty frequently from him in the group stage as well, having to maybe help out Masuta at times, because I do think Masuta's had a pretty rough start to the game in these rounds.
Yeah.
A couple of the pistols have been able to take him out. He did get 1 kill in the apartments there, I believe, but even with ZywOo getting 2 back, they're able to split through mid and split onto that B site, so I wouldn't be surprised to see more of that as the rounds go on. ZywOo's definitely a capable warper over on that B side. He's a capable warper anywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like even in those pistol rounds where it's just a P250 and nothing else for NIP, we still seen Masuda go down on that B bomb side, potentially a little bit of an early sign of her weakness for Vitality, and so is that B defense that NIP might be able to exploit over and over again on this T side. We'll see if they can patch it up though, Vitality. I have to say, finally getting to see the AWP out for Nok. I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do with this, especially going up against this kind of buy for Vitality. They don't have a lot to play with, and they're on FAMAS right now. This is a time to shine for the AWP of Nok, right? A weaker buy coming up for Vitality who could break them down. He could send them straight to the bin with their economy and give NIP the early control of this first half.
definitely be the turning point for this round.
I have to say, Alex, coming into this matchup, when we look at the map pool from NIP, we obviously realize that it's definitely not in a good spot right now. That's evident if you just take one glance at the HLTV page. You don't have to read into anything. You don't have to look at any other demos. You can just tell based on statistics how weak their map pool is right now. Their form hasn't been fantastic. They're coming into this event, obviously adding Nok back in. They've had the weakest group to play through. They script through that, having taken a loss to Sprout. They recover and they get through and they make it to the upper bracket. The first team they're facing is Vitality, who just so happen to top the most difficult group in Group A. They walk away with that. ZywOo is having a performance that has to be remembered. 1.51 rating right now in the tournament. Top rated player by far. That's just ludicrous numbers. I think Maniac highlights that very well in the pregame about how the fact that people have just sort of become numb to these performances from ZywOo, right? They just kind of look at this as a normal everyday thing, but it's just ludicrous. No other player, apart from the likes of Simple, can touch what ZywOo does on the server. It's just ridiculous. So NIP coming into this have a very difficult task. If they want to win this series, if they want any chance at winning this, they have to win Mirage here. That's what's on the line right now for this NIP team. Mirage is a map they cannot let fall because they're going into the next one. The win percentage on Nuke, the way they've been approaching that in this tournament so far, hasn't been good. And so that's where Vitality have a massive advantage. So I feel like right now, this is where NIP just have to get this under their belt.
I do think one of the advantages for NIP in this sort of matchup is I think they'll have a better idea of how to prep against Vitality. I mean, Maniac was pointing out on the desk, these teams have played each other so many times throughout 2020. But I think in general, over in Group D, NIP were probably having to play teams that they weren't as used to playing against. Okay, sure, they're probably used to playing against Ents from recent times. They got that 2-0 there. But teams like Sprout are in that position where you're maybe not as used to playing them in official games. Whereas Vitality, you kind of know how to prep for this game, right? You kind of can come in with some sort of game plan. You can put in that time off the server. And I think that's something NIP are pretty good at in general. I think normally they come into games with good game plans when they're playing against known quantities. And I think we are starting to see that a bit in this game. They're finding a bit of success towards that B site and they're exploiting it early.
Yeah, obviously NIP have Threat standing behind them and definitely a player that or a coach we know through the past for NIP has been very influential on immediate trajectory upwards for this NIP roster and NIP rosters of old. So certainly a good player to be having behind them or a coach behind them. As speaking of players, you've got Navira watching Vitality from behind. Obviously the latest addition, he'll be sitting behind ZywOo watching the team play. He's been added to that roster as a sixth man. Not be playing in this tournament, obviously, but just kind of sitting there, seeing how things are going, joining in on the official matches, sitting behind. You can see him in behind ZywOo here. Obviously, a very exciting player. I think we started to get to see what Navira is capable of back in Road to Rio, the first RMR event. That's when we started to see some big performances coming out of Heretics and Navira really putting his name on the server.
It's just great to see him actually there as well with all the other players, right?
Yeah.
That suggests to me he is getting properly integrated into the team already, which is exactly what you want to be doing. If you're going to have this sort of six-man roster, you've got to make sure you get him up to speed as quickly as possible. Get him part of the team. These are players he can obviously learn a lot from. You're right in saying that. There's a couple of experienced names here. I think there's a couple of these guys who will be willing to kind of mentor him a little bit. So I think that's a great sign for Navira. And like you said, on that Heretics roster, he had a couple of really solid tournaments really early into his career against good opposition. And I think that's great to see because for a while now, the French scene have been trying to find the new blood. For a while, they were switching in and out players. They were trying to find those new up-and-comers. We're starting to see those finally break through now. We get Masuda here on Vitality. We've got Navira here as well. It's looking up and up for the French scene.
Yeah, this is getting exciting now. And obviously, Masuda has just been the most recent addition to this team other than Navira. And if you're anybody in this team, now you have a really exciting young player standing behind you. That's going to put pressure on your spot right there. You've got to have that in the back of your head thinking, okay, I've got to perform. I've got to keep my spot in this active roster. Because right now, it doesn't seem like one of those Astralis rosters where you just kind of, you can't really see Bubsky taking any of the spots unless Dupree starts to really drop off or Glaive. But in this Vitality roster, Navira could take the spot of quite a few players, I feel, on this team. So that's where it does get exciting, and that's where it does step up hopefully elevate the performance of some of the active players on this Vitality team, just realizing if you drop off, if you underperform, there's a player sitting right behind you that's really hungry to get on the server.
Just touching on ZywOo quickly as well. The thing that was weirdest to me about actually seeing him at LAN is just how nonchalant this guy is in general. It genuinely feels like he's just like happy to be there playing Counter-Strike, and everything just seems so breezy to him. I don't know why, but he just walks around with this air of like, oh yeah, I'm just going to show up and I'm just going to play Counter-Strike and just be one of the best in the world. You know, It's not like, it doesn't feel like he has to try, which is the weird thing. And don't get me wrong, he obviously tries very hard, he practices very hard, but the natural talent is incredible.
Yeah, the best thing about him is when you look at him, he's just popping off, he just destroys 5 players, he completely embarrasses them. He just sits there and smiles. It's just like, you can't hate ZywOo. There's no player in the world or no fan in the world that could sit there and just dislike this guy. He's just such a good player and such a good guy as well. It's really incredible just to watch him as a player, and he's very unique in that respect. And moving forward here with this on the server, we obviously know that we've had a little bit of a tech pause here. We're trying to get some internet problems sorted out and get back onto the server. This does slow things down a little bit, and I feel like NIP, we're actually gaining quite a bit of momentum there. Like, they had a good start. They wanted to try and keep that up. Coming in after this break, it's going to be very important that NIP just refocus straight away. They seem to be sitting there all chilled out right now as well. They're all playing together in the facility right now. NIP have definitely started getting better. We've painted a really bad picture for NIP, I think, in their overall chances of this. I think that's the most realistic outlook on the whole situation right now, though, unfortunately. But NIP, we have talked about the win conditions for them. We do know they have some really solid individual players that can show up. And over on NIP, I think obviously the standout player that needs to show up today is Nok alongside Rez. I feel like Rez is going to have to be the playmaker. We've seen signs that early on in Mirage. We've seen those double kills opening up the rounds. Unfortunately, the round was still won by Vitality with that flank from Apex. But if it's going to be that Rez showing up where he can go in and take 2 entry kills or get you 2 of those very important, crucial kills to get you in the round, that's exciting for NIP. That shows that they've got an extra addition to the roster that they haven't really had throughout DreamHack Fall just yet.
We just see a Nork on the player cam, Stinko. He's glowing right now. He's glowing. He's so white. He's carrying the permanently flash strategy. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, I agree with you.
Monitors on 150% brightness.
I know, right? Like, look at this. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I agree with you that I think Nork is the one I think who is probably the one we can rely on more, just because the way he plays, I think, is more of a style where he doesn't necessarily need to be really on point individually. I think a lot of the times he kind of hangs back and uses his positioning more as his strengths than anything else. And he gives himself easier fights. With Rez, it is more of those, playmaking plays. He's got to be landing his shots. He's got to be having that snappy aim. And I definitely think he showed signs of that, just not as consistently as we would have liked. So there's definitely things to watch on the NIP side. You said earlier as well, Plopsky has been so quiet in this tournament for this team. He's been their lowest rated player, which is not what I normally expect from him.
Yeah, and it just can't happen against a team like Vitality today. Currently, we're just trying to get some technical problems sorted out. I hear that we are getting them sorted out very quickly. We're just waiting on the players to join up now, so we should be getting back into the action very shortly. So Twitch chat, don't you worry, casters, we will start the game. We have that power, Alex, of course. So we will be starting the game very shortly. We've decided we just want to sit here for a little bit and talk. But when you take a look at NIP, definitely, Alex, Nok is the player we've talked about already, has to show up. Plopsky, unfortunately, has been such a quiet performer. That can't happen against Vitality. Every single player from NIP that we talk about having the ability to show up on an individual level needs to do it today. And Plopsky is certainly one of the players that we expect a lot of, and unfortunately hasn't really done anything, even in the most weak group, right? There was Group D. This is where you expect Plopsky to have a little bit more space to work with and a bit more time to shine. And unfortunately, haven't really seen that just yet.
Well, it looks like the issues are going to take a little bit longer than we expected, Dinko. We've got to make sure all the players are all good. So we are going to go to a quick break and we'll get this resolved as soon as possible.
Well, we've returned, ladies and gentlemen. Tech issues hopefully resolved. It looks like everything is good to go, and it's NIP taking on Team Vitality. Back into the server, the energy is high, and NIP look to try and pick up where they left off.
That they will. Apex playing in Windows, forced away. Again, Nip getting this mid control. Before that technical pause, they were getting this mid control pretty often in these gun rounds. They've got it again in this one. We're back into a buy round for both teams as well, but Vitality have a couple of weaknesses in there, a couple of weaker guns in the mix. And Nip, after that long pause, are just going to sit back, keep it calm, and just ease us back into things.
Yeah, NIP is very important that they sit here on the server right now and they get right back into the correct frame of mind. They were in a good spot at the start of Mirage here. I feel like they were doing a lot of good work. And now Hampus has got himself up into Connector. That top smoke is going to allow him to walk through if he decides to do so. Rez has also just walked up short and will be approaching to the ladder room. Hampus is on stairs right now, like so much control. And look at this ramp push from Vitality. It's been spotted. Shox wins the duel. And I feel like that push to the ramp is the counter map control they needed. Now it's Rez's turn to turn this round in favor of NIP. He's going to get 2 kills. Yet again, the B bomb site falls for Team Vitality. And Zaiwu looking for some impactful kills. But it looks like Vitality have realized there's no other option but to save this AWP and the AK into the next round. NIP with the difference maker in towards short.
And NIP are really trying to make the most of this B site right now. In these gun rounds, they have consistently been going towards B. 1 or 2 rounds they've ended on A, but it's definitely been the more frequent site for them. And so far, it's going really well. It's another round where Masuta can't do much on the hold. He doesn't get a single kill. Vitality having to save. NIP clearly having some good prep, some good plans coming into this game. That puts them up to a 5-3 lead. And even with those 3 guns being saved, Vitality don't have great cash in the bank. If anything, this may just be a save for the rest of the players. But here's that first fight from Rez, just spraying down Masuta, who got mollied out of position. Clears the close corner as well. Makes sure to check his corners. And those 2 kills are all that's needed to win the round.
Rez up on 10 kills right now. This is a really good start for Rez and a very good sign for NIP at the start of things. And like you said, that mid control and also the B bomb side have been a bit of a weakness for the Vitality side. They send Zaiwu this time to try and fight middle. He doesn't want to go around the corner too high because Nok could have had a better angle. So Zaiwu peeks out, takes down Rez, and walks away with the man advantage for Team Vitality. They're going to need more of that. It's just USPs here on this B bomb site. Masuda, he's got Apex over here as well, but this site yet again, a prime weakness. But look at Plopsky's position. He's pushed all the way up into jungle. He's got a good spot right now, and Shox in behind the smoke at window.
RPK, yeah, the only man on the A site, and Shox with the AK at mid might be caught. Oh, no, he's won the fight. Okay, Shox winning the fight against Plopsky. Another man advantage gained by Vitality, up to a 5v3. Hampus looking for the trade, looking for this angle, but Shox eventually goes for the fight. Thinks Hampus down. 42 seconds left for Nip, but they've got to pick onto the A bomb site.
Twist finally getting something for NIP. Just a reminder, Team Vitality came into this one with only the 3 save weapons. They're now in a position where they could win the round. They still got that kit on the back of Shox. Apex still with the USP. Masuta still with a default pistol as well right now. And Team Vitality trying to come over towards this side. They know they have a decent chance of winning this. They're just going to need a kill from Zaiwu. And Nok is going to win the fight. That's a kill going in favor of NIP, and Knock finally will fall. The picked up AWP in the hands of Masuda. Shots for the kill as well. And it's just Hampers. 3 HP. Bomb going to be starting to defuse here. Vitality haven't quite tapped it. Finally, Shox gets on the defuse. He's the player with the kit. The Molotov steals in, but already it will be done. The defuse comes through, and if that Molotov came out a little bit earlier, a chance perhaps for NIP, but Vitality, they'll get the defuse through, and NIP lose to the 3 saved weapons.
Oh, that molly just needed to be a split second sooner. Like you said, I didn't realize how low the man on the defuse was. But unfortunately for Hampus, just too many players against him. He wasn't comfortable being able to throw that one quickly. Vitality now, 3 stacking mid. They are going to see if they can take this away from Nip. They've had enough of the mid control. They're going to fight this one. Masuda gets the first kill, but he's traded. Rez with 2 great shots on the Galil, and Rez continues his fine form at the start of this game.
Zaiwu. Player pushing up underneath him. Hampus right underneath the scope. Zaiwu picked off. And this is NIP with a swift answer. Rez again being the difference maker, the heavy lifter for NIP, and Hampus is all over the map. This is something he couldn't do earlier in the tournament, but now against Vitality, he is finding so much space to work with, and Shox is being cut out of the round. It's just RPK left alone, and he might just fall here as well. Finally getting a headshot. Hampus, though, was quick to reply, and it's NIP with a swift answer after losing 1 round.
Quick reply, quick kills on mid. Take a look at the replay from Rez's perspective. Vitality trying to push with those 2 players, but they end up just kind of lining up one by one. I thought we'd see the 3rd player push as well, but Zaiwu was kind of just trying to hold back, right? Kind of trying to cover some of the other angles, hoping that Vitality would win those fights. But they commit so heavily to the top mid fight. And Nip have generally been putting plenty of players at mid in these rounds. So that's what kind of catches them out in this one. This time round, though, Nip not focusing on the mid control, not focusing on the B site. They're going to test their luck on the A side of things.
Yeah, currently RPK here with a P250 on default. He's got to be the player that shows up. He will be the first pillar of support for the defensive Vitality. Can he get anything done? It's Zaiwu with the AWP. The first kill goes in favor of Vitality. Plopsky is the victim. And now RPK has an AK to work with. This is looking a little scary for NIP. And I think a little more than scary now, for Zaiwu has taken down Rez. Apex falls victim. It's still Vitality in the lead by 1 player, and Zaiwu's not done. He wants to reap more success, and he could deny the bomb plant. The leg shot, though. Hampus gets away, and now Masuda with the follow-up kill. It's just Hampus caught in the smoke, and Masuda will take him down. What a back and forth we have on the server right now. Zaiwu delivering 2 very important kills, and even nearly a 3rd there, but it's Masuda stepping up when he is required.
And Nork was starting to get involved on the Nip side as well, so good that Masuda comes in, cleans up these 2 kills at the end on the edge of the smoke. As you said, though, Zaiwu definitely making a big difference to begin with, and that was a round where Vitality didn't have that much to work with, but it turns the tides of the economy entirely. Nip are now the ones who only have 1 AK into this round. Again, they're focusing that AK into the hands of Nork. He's someone that they're putting a lot of emphasis into on this Nip side. They clearly want him to be one of the stars of the squad, and Hampus is just going to try and see if he can sell this fake on B. Problem being, Zaiwu is ready for this angle when the shot connects, not for the kill. RPK blinded by his teammate, and now he's dead. Oh, that's not the start they needed. Shock still sitting at CT, but Apex comes in. He's going to get some great kills. Apex locking it down, and that was really important that he stepped up there.
Yeah, Apex is cleaning it up. Danger averted. And while I have to say, NIP... we should be a little bit scared right now. Vitality has started to rack these up. We're starting to see moments across the board. Currently 3 players breaking double figures. Only 2 over here for NIP. It's Rez who's had a lot of impact. Hampus, who's been finding himself behind enemy lines a lot. But the problem is, for NIP, they've got to deal with Zaiwu, who's going to be all across the map. Having this double op setup allows Zaiwu to actually be freed up a little bit more as well, because Shox can sit back as that turret-style opera and lock down some angles, whereas Zaiwu, we see him over to the B-bomb site the last time. In this round, he's back to a connector. He's going to be all over the map, and NIP have got to figure out how they're going to deal with that.
even when you're playing in mid, you can get those quick rotations to begin with. And that's where he's been pretty often. And ZywOo's already got the first fight to go his way. Plopsky trades out Apex, but ZywOo's still close by. And Nip have to be ready for this angle. They have to be prepared for him. ZywOo is alone at mid right now, and he's still sticking around, but the flashbang is so good from Nip. They're prepared for it. Great awareness to get that kill, and Twist makes it another one. The A site open for business.
Yeah, it's a fantastic round from NIP, a fantastic recovery, really neutralizing ZywOo, who sticks around in connector. He was looking for that second kill in underpass, but they completely counter him. That flashbang was perfect. There was no time between the flash popping off and the peak from NIP. It was all aligned perfectly. A fantastic round from NIP, and one that they desperately needed to win. Now Vitality having to save 2 weapons. Their money is okay right now. ZywOo can still get the AWP if Shox throws that on over to him. I definitely feel like that's the best decision you can make right now. And then Apex has 5k in the bank right now before he goes into the next round. So we should be seeing a buy come in from Vitality into this next round. NIP, they're doing a good job right now, Alex. They are doing a fantastic job at taking the fight to Vitality, not letting them run away with it, and actually neutralizing ZywOo and not allowing him to just go and get multi-frags. That's really good stuff from NIP in this round. And then we go into the next. They've got that AWP back in the hands of Nok.
Yeah, it's funny that you're right in that they are definitely neutralizing ZywOo and his impact. It's just funny that ZywOo's so good that even when you kind of do that to an extent, he's still going to be positive, right? Exactly. He's still going to have a good game. It's just the best you can do. Shock's taking the AWP ahead of ZywOo in this round. He's going to take that over to the A site. ZywOo's happy to go with the rifle in this one. I think the main thing that Nip have been doing really successfully in this game, though, Dinko, as we see ZywOo, why he's got that rifle, he's going to go aggressive, and Plopsky needs to be ready. He is prepared. Plopsky makes it a second, spotting out that early aggression, and that should put Nip firm favorites in this round.
Yeah, again. Good start to the round. Plopsky's actually looked better in this match so far. Hasn't exactly been fantastic, but that is a specific round where he is definitely having an elevation in his performance. But Masuda this time, I was a little worried there, Alex, and towards that B bomb site. I thought he was about to go down without a fight, and they would have locked around him for NIP, but Masuda gets a kill, and now they're going to boost them up on short. He could find Nok here as well. Are they expecting this reposition? Nok's barrel comes around the corner. Masuda with the first. He'll drop off into the left corner. Now Rez swings around. Masuda, what a round from him so far. He's flipped this on its head, and Vitality stand in a 3 versus 1, and Masuda secures himself a 4k, and it's tied up on the server. What a round from Masuda. What a god on that B-bomb site, finally showing up.
Yeah, that's more like it. And he definitely could have gone down on that first fight. You're right, Dinko. It looked like Hampus was going to catch him out, but I think Hampus fluffed a couple of shots, and that gave Masuda the opportunity to showcase that aim that these Vitality players know he has. They've talked about the snappy aim that Masuda displays at times. He can have some real highlight plays, but Hampus upping the pace, and ZywOo's a dead man.
Yeah, ZywOo goes down yet again. Now it's the rest of Vitality that need to show up, and the attack comes in through the A ramp. NIP look to try and end this half ahead, at least by a minimum of 1 round, but they haven't checked RPK, and the tank is shutting them down. 2 kills, Shox with 1. Apex secures victory. Vitality will lead at the half. It's time for a short break. We'll see if the Ninjas can bounce back and get their map win. Vitality lead by 1 round at the half. It was a brawl, it was scrappy, but Vitality will get 1 more under their belt. They'll be on the T side this time, the attacking side into the second half. NIP will look to pick up their map pick, and they'll have to do it here in the second half.
And in the previous pistol, Dinko, Zywoo bought the kit and the nades. He bought the utility. This time, he's been dropped to P250. He is going to get set up for success in this one.
Hampus playing in the smoke. A couple of players from Vitality now crossing in front of his cross area. Hear those footsteps. No damage done yet on the server. Bomb plant comes in for Team Vitality. It's going to be a 5v5 retake. The players across the server, this is going to be a messy one. As there's still Rez in the window, and Masuda's pushed up. He also has RPK. Rez's life expectancy is very low, and he will fall. Shocks with 1, nearly gets a second into the connector. He knows the information of 1 player in Con, and RPK can swing on by, but he's being shot in the back, and the kills keep coming through for NIP. There are 2 players up in this round, and this retake looks like it might just happen, especially with that kill onto Apex. It's all on Masuda. And it just never was going to happen for him. NIP win the pissed around. A pretty solid retake from them. A lot of duels that could have went either way there realistically, but NIP win them.
Hampus surviving on 1 health in connector might be the difference maker here. He turns that round onto Shocks. If Shocks is just a few feet closer, he gets that kill straight up. He did 99 damage, but instead Hampus survives, turns around for that kill, and that just cuts down on the post-plant positions that Vitality have. They'd already lost the site, they'd already lost those trades, then they lose their best post-plant position in connector. Apex has lost almost all his health here, though.
Hampus charging after him with the MP9, and somehow Apex gets away alive. Now this is the window of opportunity for Team Vitality to take this B bomb site. They'll get the bomb down, and now we'll have to play out yet another 5v5 retake. This is definitely not most normal circumstances, but nonetheless, they move forward. There's RPK on the MP5 taking the head off Plopsky. Rez, who has been very solid so far for NIP, wants a very important kill, but Masuda charges forward with the MAC-10. He nearly gets the 2, but it's Shocks that will follow up and avenge his fallen teammate. Vitality answering back immediately into the second round, but Hampus, nice quick little double that will be Vitality back into the lead. And that's the problem, right? If you let that bomb go down so easily, you're going to have to face the second round force buy. Apex just ran out in the last round in the pistol, planted the bomb on the A site, secures the force buy at a minimum for Vitality. And that is the problem in the current economy, right? It's not enough to win the pistol. You have to win that follow-up round.
And this is always the worst case scenario for the CTs. They go for a force in this one, but their money's just so bad. Hampus thankfully gets an M4. That's just due to those kills he got at the end. So they do make a difference. They allow him to get 1 rifle for the team. He can drop that MP9 over to Rez, but clearly Vitality have by far the better buy in this round. Shock's already playing it safe as well. He knows he's got an M4 that's pretty valuable. He doesn't want to give that away too easily, so he just gives up the palace control. Vitality will move back, and Apex taking a risk, but it pays off for him, walking through that smoke. That was a pretty big gamble to take there. He could have been caught out easily, but clearly he had a good read on the situation.
Yeah, could have given away an AK-47 to the hands of NIP, but he plays it out and finds the kill. Zywoo instead is the first victim, and a 5-7 trying to rattle away for a second, but Apex quick on the trade. It's Vitality taking the B-bomb side again, and NIP having to go for the safe call. Throw the utility back into the site, and they'll carry up an MP9. They've got an M4 here as well, a Deagle, good bit of Kevlar, so of course this is the only option. NIP will go into this next round with all this to work with, but Vitality are going to be massive favorites going into the next as well. So we should be looking at Vitality taking that scoreline up to around 11. And NIP, a lot of work has to be done now. They've had their opportunity to get off to a good start in the second half. They kind of throw that away after losing the second round force buy. And Vitality are back into the driver's seat at the moment.
Terrorists win. They absolutely are back in the driver's seat just by winning that second round force buy. And that second round force buy was kind of unfortunate for NIP in that they were playing it so passively on that B site. As soon as Twist saw them push B, he had to just fall back to short. They gave up the bomb site so quickly because they had so few players there. That's what allows Vitality to get back into this position. A good decision by Vitality to quickly move into B pays off for them. and they should be good to get an 11-8 lead, although Apex has taken some early dink damage. Oh, Twist, that is so clean.
Apex just got wrecked in this round. There's no other word to describe it. Apex out of the server immediately into round number 19. And AK-47 going up to the roof from ZywOo. Doesn't well let that fall into the hands of NIP. But you gotta feel bad for Apex there, but it's still funny to watch.
Just that Twist gets that first dink as well, right? And then the second one on the fadeaway.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's like, hold on a second. Let me boost my teammate up into the window. Then I'm coming back. I'm not done with you, Apex. Finish us off the job, but still, look at this A-bomb site currently for NIP. They've got one player over here playing in towards spawn. That's Rez, and the attack coming in from Team Vitality. They're going to be throwing the smokes up, the executing towards the A-bomb site. NIP were gambling over towards the B side of the map with 2 players towards short, 2 at the B side itself. And now with Vitality heading in towards A, it is just Rez here to try and stop it all from happening. And it's not realistic. He is going to be shut down at 3 HP. Still no kill. And Hampus is on the stairs. The smoke has faded away, and the bomb is still not down for Vitality.
PK finally doing that job. ZywOo's already got his first kill of the round. Hampus sitting at stairs with that M4. Rez, the only man from CT. Couple of fights going down. Nothing too significant so far. ZywOo's still stuck on the site. That smoke isn't really that good for Vitality right now. It's allowing Rez to start to close the distance. They've got a couple of players trapped, and Rez has got the first kill. Time is low, but they have a kit. Hampus has another kill. Nip could make this happen. Shox has to spray away. Shox has to do the damage, and he combines with RPK for all those kills at the end there. Nip make it close, but Vitality lock it down.
Man, I was getting worried right there. And Navira was sitting there just looking at that like, I could have done better. But nonetheless, that was a little scary there for Vitality towards the end of that round. But luckily, RPK and Shox had this iron hold in the crossfire, taking every single player down. And now it's 11-8 on the board. NIP will finally get the buy back out. It's the utility, the rifles, and a quicker play from Vitality into the A-bomb site, looking to punish the NIP side, looking to take every single weapon away early on. And I love this change in pace from Vitality. Not caught off by it, stuck under wood by the Molotov, and he'll burn away.
Now Vitality slow it down, use their utility. Smokes go through. Rez puts down a counter smoke, but Apex is already pushed up, and Rez isn't ready for it. Not going down early. Now Rez gets caught off guard. ZywOo's got another one. Make it a second. ZywOo rattling off the shots towards CT spawn. And Plopsky is saving. Nip just get completely overrun. And this is the worry, Dinko. I think Nip had some really good prep in the first half. They had some really good calls. They made the most of some of the weaknesses of Vitality. But now Vitality are just styling on them on an individual basis.
Yeah, this is a little bit worrying. Especially because NIP get that solid chance. They win the pistol round coming into the second half. They lose the follow-up force buy. They've had a couple of close rounds, even on the weaker weapons. But it's this scenario that I'm worried about. That first gun round is a very good sign for Vitality. ZywOo has more scout kills in 2020 than RPK has op kills ever. That is just crazy. RPK's been around for a very long time, Alex. That's pretty nuts, but hasn't really ever been an all-pro at any point, so you can kind of understand it.
How good some of the pros are with the scout, though. Like some of the shots we see him land, ridiculous.
Yeah, Searson, I think at this tournament has one of the most filthy scout plays you've seen in a very long time. On the A-bomb site and overpass, was absolutely destroying people. And now 12-8 on the board. NIP for attack pause. I think they desperately need this just to kind of catch their breath and think about the next few rounds and what their game plan is going to be and their approach coming to this next one. You see just a casual conversation, Twist with his headphones off. Everybody of NIP, apart from Plopsky, it seems, towards the backside there with the headphones off, just chilling out, taking this full pause just to focus up, talk about things, and now getting back into the server, getting back into the action. NIP haven't invested just yet, but it will be a couple of upgraded pistols going into this round. So Vitality should be looking at 13, and I'll put them 3 away from winning Mirage and take it away NIP's map pick in this series.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that Nip can look at from that previous round was just that a couple of the players got caught early, and that's when the individuals started to really pop off from Vitality. So if they didn't lose those early players, maybe they could have held it down a little bit better. The Pistols in this round, though, are not doing too much to begin with. Popsky and Rez have already fallen. Hampus taking even more damage as well, so the Pistols unlikely to be doing too much in this one. Twist also falling, only Nork remaining. And Vitality will get another clean round win.
So I was looking earlier and I seen an interview that Zywoo gave, and he said that he doesn't really play aim bots. He doesn't really aim train. He just plays faces. It's unfair. It's not fair, Alex.
He probably thought that Face It was aim training when he first started playing.
Yeah, wait, is this the bots? These guys bots, yeah. Feels like it. What? 13-8 on the board. I love how Navira has just sort of transition between each play. He just kind of gets to this camera time. 13-8 on the board. 3 rounds away from victory for Vitality, but here comes this buy round from NIP. A lot of pressure on this round for NIP. Double up setup, a huge investment. Twist and Nog pulling them out. We'll see if NIP can get the round under their belt, or will Vitality take themselves 14.
Nork and Plopsky have both been quiet for Nip. Nork was the man that we were singing the praises of from the group stage, but it's Twist who's about to be tested. The secondary AWP looking to lock down this B site.
While Twist holding on, it's 1. Plopsky has opened up the round for NIP, and Twist under pressure goes for the no-scope, but Shox is there for the headshot, and now Plopsky and Nok, they're still here on this B bomb site. It's still a very scary defense right now for NIP. And Shox, he's still trying to find some sort of opening, sort of way to get into this B bomb side, but it's not going to be easy. Look at the other teammates. They've completely backed away from this one, sending the bomb back towards top middle. Currently, there's one player in window, and that is Hampus with that M4. He's looking out, he's gathering the info, and he'll get 1 kill as well. RPK falls very quickly, but Masuda with the instantaneous trade. Shox, he's been spotted out to the left side, a little bit of his body showing around the corner, and now it's all on Masuda. And this is not going to be an easy round at all. Rez is pushed up in the apartments. Masuda had his knife out, finally pulls the rifle, but Rez wins the round for NIP. It's 9 on the board, and a crucial gun round win going their way.
And this time, Nip don't get caught out by the quick play. Twist lands this first shot, tight angle, goes out wide, plays it patiently, and then they had utility ready to slow down the rush, because in the previous round, Vitality were just able to run out onto the A site in that last gun round, and they were able to win the round quite quickly because of it. So I like that Nip were ready with the nades this time. They were ready to slow Vitality down, but another fast play. Hampers, you've got to be ready for this one. Early aggression from Vitality, and they've already got 2 kills.
Twist holding back. This change in pace has already shown so far in this half to find success for Vitality. NIP have not handled the quick plays very well. Vitality are so lightning fast when it comes to these rounds. Hampus at least getting 1 kill, making it doable, putting it within touching distance for NIP, but Twist, a short receipt of the smoke. He will shut down Zywoo though, and we're into a 3 versus 3. Bomb plant secure for Vitality. NIP still have Plopsky in the smoke in behind Shox, who now fades away. There's the kill for Plopsky. That might just be the turning of the tides. The second kill as well. And it's all on Apex. A 1 versus 3. And he's stuck in middle. He's aware of Twist. He will look up for the kill. And now moving forward, Apex more lead. And he tries to get the transfer. But it'll be the round 1 by NIP. A poor start to the round from NIP, but a big recovery from Plopsky.
Yeah, that was the CT smoke that they put down towards that triple box that Plopsky just decided to sit in, and it faded at just the right time for him to be able to open things up. This shot from Twist as well, just on the edge of the smoke, spotting Zywoo, gets him out of the equation, and then Plopsky pops up with a nice 2K with that AUG. So Nip again, just about able to deal with the faster aggression from Vitality. And that's what Vitality have been going for in a lot of these early rounds. It's been working out for them. Now Nip is starting to deal with those fast plays. We might see a switch up from the Vitality side.
Well, Vitality still have a lot of resources to play with, a lot of money, just like Zywoo. And the utility will come out, the AK-47s, and the AWP in the hands of Zywoo. He's currently 17 and 16. Not quite like the performance the last time around here on Mirage, but replicating that, of course, back-to-back is just kind of unrealistic. NIP did a good job of sort of shutting him down that first half. He hasn't really had that much impact on the T side as you're expecting. And again, he is shut out by Knock.
Now the flashbang landed, but Nort gets the kill while blind. Now Apex was throwing some nades out towards A. He threw the lurk smoke, but he's coming back to B. That was just to try and keep those A players guessing. Rez is still in the top of connector though. Always a strong spot to be at the start of the round, but as soon as those smokes start to fade, you do feel quite open, so he's falling back. And that means it's probably down to Plopsky this time, anchoring the B site. Last time it was Twist, this time it's Plopsky, and he's caught early.
Yeah, he doesn't get anything. And now the attack from Vitality is looking deadly. Oh, one kill from Hampus. That's not really ideal because still locked out of the site is Knocked. The utility being used up. And still 3v3. The one kill is certainly enough to keep it even. And now Rez's turn to try and do something from short. He has a decent position coming in here. No one's actually looking this way. They have got Apex just holding if Rez is to walk around the corner, and he's just transitioned to this direction. Rez still wins the duel, but it's Masuda quick on the trade. Still at 2v2. And Equilibrium still on the server right now, and the post-plant positions are solid from Vitality. Masuda popping off another kill collective for him, and the time is ticking. Twist needs to go now. Needs to go for the defuse, and Shocks in the apartments has a good angle. The smoke, what? What is that shot from Twist? No time for the defuse, but that is lightning fast from Twist.
Oh, you almost feel bad for him after he lands that shot that he can't win the round.
That's filthy.
That was a quick scope into the face.
I don't even know how this is human. That's just disgusting. That is just disgusting, Alex. That made me scream. And well, 10 rounds on the board for NIP is all they have, and unfortunately after that, it still is the round loss. So attack timer having to come through. NIP once again, the headsets will come off. I'll talk about what's going on right now and trying to just stay calm and collected going into these final few rounds. Can they pull it back against Vitality?
Gotta say, it's very refreshing to see Vitality have such an even distribution of kills among their star players as well. Shock's having a good game. Apex, I don't think has been getting the most important kills in the rounds, but he's just quietly been racking up frags, quietly getting Vitality into positions in the first place, oftentimes towards the start of the round, putting them in those clutch scenarios. Masuta obviously having quite a few rounds where he's had impact, and Zywoo's always going to be having some impact of his own. So all four of those guys on the Vitality side showing up, and it's had to be a team effort here for Vitality to get them to this point. But that's what's brought them through to the 14-10 lead, to the bad bye for Nip, and the potential for round 15 here for Vitality. Nip go all in on this round, and there's only one premium rifle to show for it.
Twist holding on. Oh, the head spotted, but Zywoo quick on the trigger. A second kill for Vitality. Finally, a little bit of action going NIP's way. Rez and Nox stepping back in with the rifles, but it's not enough to keep them afloat. Still the man advantage with the Frenchman. Hampus, oh, the timing. Apex swings out, takes his head off his shoulders, and Rez trying to do some chip damage, but Apex turns and finds him as well. 15-10 for Vitality. Map point reached on Mirage. And this is the map pick of NIP. This is the map we said they had to win to fancy their chances of being able to pick up this series. But when we look at that second map, it heavily favors Vitality going into Nuke. So, in NIP, is their comeback? Can they do it on MP9s? They have no rifles in play, just 4 MP9s and 1 Deagle. And an early start for Zywoo. The aggression is held on. Zywoo and Masuda getting 2 kills for Vitality. And that might just be the first nail of the final few into the coffin of NIP.
That's always the risk when you're pushing Palace with the MP9s. That's oftentimes an angle the AWP will peak for the longer range fights, but the MP9s get caught at long range, not where you want to be. Now, Plopsky, if he gets the timing right, well, he's not going to get the timing right, so it doesn't matter. That world is not one we're living in. Hampus still sitting on B, but the Deeg is going to have to land some headshots to have any chance.
Yeah, Hampus holding on, players dropping out of the window. Hampus doing a good job on the Deagle for 1 kill, but it was always going to be too much of a difficult task. It's going to be Vitality taking the win here. Twist just sitting back, idly by the MP9. Zywoo's going to start walking into the market. Twist has got the cover of the cash register, and that is going to allow a kill onto Zywoo, but the rest of these 3 players should not be peeking him. And Apex secures victory as Vitality, they will take Mirage. The first map in the series goes in favor of the Frenchman. It was close in the first half, but in the second, Vitality showed their class. And the individuals from NIP just can't keep up.
Yeah, just a couple of the stars not performing to the level you'd want them to. And I think that was the main difference here. I do also think that for Vitality, it was great to see, again, that team performance come through for these guys. I think Shox having a good game as well was really important. I think Maniac pointed out he had a rough series against Fnatic, so Shox being back to his best is a great sign. And as you said, Nuke is not normally a good map for NiP. We've seen Vitality get some big wins on it in this tournament. NiP are going to have to dig deep in this one.
Yeah, things are not looking pretty for the Ninjas in Pyjamas. It's time to see if they can show up heading into the second map, or will it be Vitality that take it 2-0? It's time for a short break, and we'll be right back after this.